Yeah, you can.
Thank you very much. Let me share the um, representation that was sent. Just a minute. Can't find it again. So, a business analyst, as a business analyst, I think one of the most important skill sets we would have would be documenting and modeling requirements. Now, this is very important because it helps us to understand the business needs and put it in clear specifications for stakeholders, for designers, for developers, for testers, and even the management to understand and also act on. So, as a business analyst, you would have to discover what the business needs, analyze it, document it clearly, and also model it in a very detailed visual form so that the solutions can be designed accordingly and also built correctly. So we're looking at two different activity here. We're looking at documenting and modeling requirements. So when we say requirement documenting or documenting requirement, as the case may be, it simply means writing down the requirements in a
Hello,
structure.
Vincent. Sorry for
Hello.
interrupting. Please, can you put
Okay.
your screen on presentation mode so the texts are a lot clearer?
O- okay.
Thank you.
Uh, okay. Current slide. Okay, is it visible now?
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes, this is better. Thank you.
All right. So, like I said earlier, we're splitting the activity into two: requirements documenting and requirements modeling. So I said earlier, requirements documenting simply means writing down the requirements in a structured, understandable, and testable manner. Then, when we talk about modeling, it means representing the requirements in a visual or structural model. So, an example of requirement documentation would be terms like the system shall allow Elena register an account. I'm giving examples. The system shall send an email of confirmation after successful registration. And when we look at modeling, like I said earlier, it's a visual representation of the requirement. So examples of models and on the business analysis would include process flows, use case and diagrams, activity diagrams, user journey maps, data models, if I'm not mistaken, context diagrams, state diagrams, wireframes, yeah, business process model, and entity relationship diagrams. So when you put this in simple terms, documentation simply means words or text, while modeling would imply pictorial representation. So um, to get the business need or to understand or get a solution, we have to merge both the documentation and the modeling, get a shared understanding of it, and help the developer or whoever needs that document to develop or produce a solution for the business. So one may ask, why is this very important? Sorry, I'm trying to do an overview of the slides. It's not very much detailed. So while I believe we can see what's there already, the session introduces the most commonly used techniques for documenting and modeling requirements. Now, it's extremely very useful to clarify understanding and, if cross-checked, to ensure the completeness of the analysis. The whole summary there is understanding the importance of this for a business analyst. Now, I'm a developer. I'm also a business analyst, and sometimes occupying both roles helps me grasp a holistic understanding from the business end and also from the development end. So, as a you may be a user, or let's say a regular individual who just stumbles upon um, a project, and the company comes to you and tells you, we need an online platform or an online learning platform. I'm very much familiar with that. That is not enough. What the developer would likely ask is, who uses this platform? Let's use, for example, an LMS. You want to build a learning management system or a learning platform. Um, your job as a as a business analyst is to help the developer, because he would be developing this solution, to help them understand beyond what the stakeholder is requesting for. So, if you want to break down that statement, we need an online learning platform or a learning management system. The first question would be, who are the users? Is it for a particular age group? Is it for a particular set of um, individuals or professionals? Is it for students and the likes? How do the users get to register? How do they purchase the um, examinations or the courses, or will it even be free? Can they pay online, or do they do a bank transfer? What are the payment methods? Can admin create courses? How would the exam be conducted? Are they multiple choices? Are they single choice, or essays, or scenario based? What are the how would the exams be conducted? The certificates, how would they be generated? Can they be verified? Now, these are breaking down the needs of the users, or of the company, in a way that it helps the developer understand the business need. So, here we said the purpose of documenting requirements is that all stakeholders have a clear and shared understanding of the business need. The requirements are also traceable throughout the project. Developers and testers know exactly what to build and validate. So an example here says, if a business wants to book, okay, an online booking system, the requirement should be, users should be able to book appointments online without written clearly to avoid confusion. Okay, to correct this example, a the term should be, users shall be able to build or book appointments online. And it must be written clearly, like I said, to avoid any confusion. So, you have to, as a business analyst, be able to break down the need for the developer or whoever is going to be designing it, or even the management themselves. Now, the hierarchy for requirement or requirement business um, requirement goes as this. The first is the business need, then the business requirement, then we'll have the stakeholder requirement, we'll have the solution requirement, which is split it into two, okay. Then we'll have the transition requirement. So it's actually five, not three categories here. This is just an overview. Business requirements, stakeholder requirement, solution requirement. This is into two, the functional and the non-functional requirement. Then the last is the transition requirement. So the business requirement describes what the organization needs, or sorry, why, not what, why they need the solution. Here we say high level goals. Do we want to increase customer satisfaction? Do we want to improve our learning process, or learning pathway? Do we want to um, just an overview of the
Please, we apologize for the break in transmission. Please hold on. While Mr. Vincent tries to get his network right. Thank you so much, everybody.
so I said we have in terms of hierarchy, we have five types of requirements. We have the business requirement, sorry. We have the business requirement, we have the stakeholder requirement, we have the solution requirement, which is split into two, functional and non-functional, and we also have the transition requirement. So the business requirement would describe why the organization needs something. It points to the business need, why it's needed. Um, when you want to write out the business requirement, you have to understand why the organization. So the example we have on the screen here says increase customer satisfaction. So the goal or the purpose, the reason for the business need is to increase customer satisfaction. So that's a business requirement. Then we go into stakeholder requirements. Stakeholder requirements speaks to the need of the users, what you want the user to get or be able to do, what you need them to be able to achieve on the system. Then the functional requirement under the solution requirement speaks to what the system must do, what you need it to do. So an example here says export reports to PDF, for whatever reason you need from the business need. Part of the solution would be to export reports in PDF. So that's under functional requirements. Then non-functional requirements would describe how well the system must perform. So that speaks to performance of the solution. Then the last one is the transition requirement, which describes what is needed to move, just like the word transition. You're taking it from one point. So we want to we this solution we are trying to build or to get. What is it? What is needed for us to move it from the existing one to the new one? So I was given an example of a business need using a learning management system. So when a client or a company tells or wants to build an LMS or wants an LMS, now as a business analyst, you don't just tell the developer they need an LMS or I want you to help me build an LMS. So you have to use business BA terms, which in this case study, I would say the organization wants to, like I said, like increase revenue from training, from online training, not physical one now. The organization wants to increase revenue from online training. Now, to achieve this, a learning management system platform is needed. Now, the developers needs to still know details or requirements of the system. So the business requirement here would be put in this format. The organization needs an online platform through which users or customers can purchase and complete training courses. This is in simple term or in layman's term, you could just say we want a system where users can come and take their exam or take some courses. But as a business analyst, the term here will be the organization needs an online platform through which users or customers can purchase and complete online training in courses. Now, the stakeholder requirement here, that is what um you need the users to be able to achieve or to be able to get. Learners should be able to purchase courses online and access them immediately after payment. This is a stakeholder requirement. You want the learners to be able to get access to their course immediately after they make the payment. Then functional requirement. This speaks to how the system what the system does. The system shall grant users access to course after successful payment. So the process of payments leading to access or confirmation describes the functional parts of the system. That's what we call a functional requirement. Now, the non-functional requirement will speak to how well the functional requirement is achieved. For example, the course page or the payment page, whatever page that is needed on the LMS, shall load within 3 seconds under normal operating system. So this speaks to the performance of the system, how well you want it to run. Then the last one, which speaks to the transition requirement, would be existing users record shall be migrated into the new LMS before launch. So this points out moving from the existing system to a new one. Now, the next slide speaks to the characteristics of a good requirement. Now, the first one, it has to be clear and unambiguous. So I said earlier, as a business analyst, you don't just use layman terms. Permit me to use that word. It must be clear where you have, oh, the system should be able to handle payments. Now that's, can we still hear me? Am I still audible?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank
We
you
can
very
hear you,
much.
sir.
All right, thank you very
Yes,
much. So, was speaking
yes.
to were on the characteristics of a good requirement. So I said the first thing, it has to be clear and unambiguous. Clear in the sense that you have to be precise, you have to be specific. Um, so a bad approach would be, I said earlier, the system should handle payments. Now that's ambiguous because there are various or several means of payment online. There's different currencies. You have to factor in the multiple currencies, multiple means of payment, multiple payment platforms. So, as a business analyst, a better approach would be to say or to write, the system shall allow learners to pay for courses using supported online payment method. Now, this would help the developer um, narrow down or understand how payment would be done. Now, payments could be done through bank transfer through several means, but you want supported online payment methods. So now we still have a lot. You could still break this down into more: Stripe, Paystack, or whatever payment platforms is popular or is most effective within that system. So it must be clear, it must be unambiguous. You have to be. It must also be specific. Specific. The purpose for this, I think they're all intertwined somehow. Complete and consistent would help it to be testable and traceable. So another example would be of being specific would be the system should send notifications. Now, if you're telling that to a developer, it's not specific, or should I say it's not complete. Yeah. So because there need to be conditions that determine the sending of the notifications. As a business analyst, you have to understand what need was or is being addressed there. So a better way to use that would be the system should send an email notification to the learner after successful enrollment. And now you can iterate this through different instances. You could design or tell the system to send emails upon enrollment, upon registration, upon successful payment, and upon successful exam completion. So that is more that's robust, that's complete, and that can be developed in a consistent manner. Another example that it must be testable. It must be testable. So we often hear people say, "Oh, I want my system or the website or I want my platform to be or my app to be user friendly." User friendly. Now, as a business analyst, you don't just put that in your analysis or in your document. A better approach would be to say a registered user or a registered learner shall be able to access the course dashboard within 3 clicks from login. So this helps the developer to know, okay, this should lead to this point. I shouldn't get to the website. Now, user friendly can be also ambiguous sometimes. So testable and traceable falls under this condition. Um, the user should be able to access his account 2 clicks from login or 2 clicks from registration. Now, this is a more like a robust or a more detailed term or in place of.
Hakuyanjala
Hello,
imini umakur.
think you're unmuted. In place of being user friendly, just like that. So
Yeah.
an example here says the report must include monthly sales. Is clear, but the report must be fast. It's vague. So you could break down the fast into identifiable things. How long? Give it a figure or a number. Now, techniques for documenting requirements. Techniques for documenting requirements. Am I still audible? Hello, can we hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you very much. So this falls under modeling technique. When we talk about techniques for documenting requirements, we've moved from documentation to modeling at this point. So before we dive into the four sections here, this is where I think this is the diagrammatic part of business analysis, and somehow it's, I think I'll call it the technical part of business analysis per se. So well, we have different techniques. I'll just mention a few. Then we also look into this. A very common one would be the processing models, and this speaks to flowcharts, BPM, and that's and business process modeling notations. Now, the Processing models answers what happens, in what order, and why the decisions are being made, or what are the decision points at this point. It could have been easier explained with diagrams. Okay, is I think I should have mentioned it earlier. This is the diagrammatic part of this topic, and it's kind of not so easy to explain with just text. Diagrams would have been better, but maybe next time we would restructure the document and add more diagrams for better understanding. So process models, if you're familiar with flowcharts, that's what I'm talking about. um, Under modeling techniques, or under the BPMN, it speaks to what happens, why it's happening, in what order is it happening, and the decisions that are involved with it. Then we also have the use case modeling. The use case modeling speaks to who interacts with the system and for what purpose or for what goals. We also have activity diagram. Now, activity diagram are very good for explaining process to technical and non-technical stakeholders. Okay, so a data model. Do we have the data model here? Okay, we have user stories. This speaks to as a user, as a dash. Now, the user within that squared brace can be a learner, can be a student, can be any term that fills that role. Then I want the goal there speaks to what you want them to achieve or on the system, and so that the benefit speaks to the outcome. The outcome. Just a minute, please. Okay, so we're back. So we're still looking at data modeling techniques. I'll try to explain this beyond what we have on the screen here. So, a data model would imply a structured representation of the data a business needs. Also, the relationship between the data and the rules that governs or surrounds how the data is being stored and how it's being used. Um, in other words, we could just say that a data model describes what data exists, how pieces of the data, how they relate to each other, and how they should be organized. The data existence, what data exists, how they relate, and how they should be organized. Now, as a business analyst, you have to understand data modeling because it helps you to translate the business requirement into that form that um, database designers, developers, or even stakeholders can easily understand. You're more of helping the client or the a company translate the data in diagrammatic format, flowchart, for example, or any other format or model that the developer can easily understand. Now, I work for a company, FBP, and let's say we want to build an online learning platform.
Hello,
Now,
sir. Hello, sir.
hello,
Hello,
can we
Mr.
hear me?
Vincent.
Hello.
Sorry, sir. I would like you to uh, just in 2 seconds on the techniques on user stories. The network was not was fluctuating, so I didn't get that very clearly. Please, would you?
Okay, yeah, just a minute. I thought I changed the network to a better, but I will re-explain that now. So I said the user stories speaks to this is a format or a template where you help the developer understand what the client needs the users to do and to get. So we have as a within that square bracket, the first one, you have a user. The user can be a learner, The user can be a customer. It could be any stakeholder. You want them to achieve a particular goal. For example, reset my password. Okay, I'm more familiar with learning management system. I do that a lot. I'm going to break this down with an example. As a learner, I want to reset my password so that I can access or gain access to my account. Now, this is a format you use for scenarios like that or stories in that section. If you're building let's say a bank app, well, not okay, you're a business analyst, you want to help the developer understand the need of the client. We could have in this part, um as a customer, I want to what case can I use for a bank operation right now? um I don't want to use the word loan, but that's a benefit per se. Okay, that's what's coming to my mind right now. I want to access the loan function so I can top up my balance. That's just an example. It might not speak so accurately if I'm not a banking person, but I think the first one, which I'm much more familiar with, as a learner or as a student, I want to be able to reset my password so that I can access my account. Now that's a user story here. Do we understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So I spoke
Thank you,
about
sir. Thank you, sir.
data models. I said a data model simply describes what data exists, how they relate to each other, and how the data should be organized. I'm very sorry. I would have loved us to have diagrams to portray this, like they say, a picture. I can't remember a picture. Um, is equal to 1,000 words. So a lot of it I'm saying right now would be very easily absorbed and understood if it was just shown in the picture. So as a business analyst, you have to be able to translate business requirement in a form that developers, because you're the middle man or the middle ground between a client and the developer or the designer or the stakeholders involved. So one of the ways with which you can actually or effectively translate business ideas or business needs to the solution guys, that's the developers or designer, is through data models. So I was given an example with a company, let's say a training company that wants to build an online learning platform. Now, the business would just tell you as a business analyst, users should be able to register for courses, make payment, take exam, and receive their certificates. I'm very sure many of us we operate learning platforms online, so we understand these terms. They send you an exam link. You just take the course, take the exam. Then, depending on the flow, some businesses may not or will not issue you certificate upon exam completion. They might take you a day or two. Some may not even give you access to the course part time or the course modules. Module one can be open to you upon enrollment. It takes a particular number of days. Module two takes a particular number of days. Module three, then after maybe a week or two, examination become accessible to you. After exam, you still have to wait. Now, these processes you would be able to define or easily translate these needs from the business owners to the developers through data models. So, what you would do as a business analyst when the business owner just tells you these are what I need my system to do. I want users to be able to register for their courses, make payment, take exam, blah 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 blah. Now, your job to the developer is to help them understand. Now, you're going to do this by asking certain questions or answering certain questions with your data model. The first will be to ask or determine what information must be stored, what is a user, what is a course. Can one user take multiple courses? Can one user take multiple? Can one course have multiple users? What information should be stored about the payment? What connects a user to a course? What connects a course to an exam? What or when should certificate be issued? Now, these in questions is going to help the developer grasp a better understanding of what the solution should look like. It's 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 inappropriate to just tell the developer the exact terms that the business owner or the business passes down to you. I want this. You have to break it down. So with a data model, it is very easy to determine or get answers to a lot of questions like this. So a data model would help you answer this. Now we have the next one is a process model. We have data model, we have process models. Okay, I think it's here already. Flowcharts or diagrams that shows the step in a business. It's the simple term there just implies steps or modeling steps for the business. So we would say that a process model is like a visual or a structured representation of how the business process works from beginning to end, or like some people will say from end to end. You it's the technique of um representing or displaying how the process works from beginning to the end is what we call a process model. So it shows the activity that takes place, the people or the systems that are involved. It shows the decisions that are made. It shows the information flowing between the activities and the outcomes that they also produce. So, as a business analyst, the process models are very important because they will help you transform a complex operation into something that stakeholders, developers, managers, and even the users can easily understand. Now, I also take business process model and notation. We easily break down operations of different sectors and organizations for anybody to understand from start to finish who is responsible for this. If this fails, this is the next line of action. So it's the end to end process is what we call process models. A simple example, still using our online learning platform. Let me just verbally explain a process short and sharp. Customer selects a course, step one. Customer makes payment, step two. Payment verified, step three. Course access, that's after the payment, step four. That course access granted. Then course access granted, the user completes the course, step six. User takes the exam after completing the course, step seven. Certificate is issued, that's the last step. Now this is a very linear and I'll say optimized process models. But if I was to present this in a process diagram, I'll be able to detailed or explain to you different outcomes. Now, user selects course. user makes payment is the next step. Payment could either fail or succeed. What happens next? If it fails, this is the next action. If it succeeds, it proceeds to the next step, which is to verify the payment. Now, it's one thing to pay, and you may not. We know how banks, how network issue works in the bank sometimes. Course access can be granted after payment is um, verified. Then the user takes course or completes the course. After then, exam is opened. Now, exams can have two outcomes as well. The user could pass the exam or fail the exams. What are the decision points at um, this point? If the user fails, what is the next line of action? If he should pass, what is the next line of action? I think the next line, if he passes, would be issue certificate. So the process then simply helps us to understand the end to end, or the beginning to the end of the whole flow. Then the next one is state model. It's not here, but state model. Can you still hear me? Hello? Are we still here?
Yes, yes, we are.
Yes, yes, we are hearing you.
All right, thank you. I just need to confirm. So I'm speaking of state model right now. State model is more of a business analysis software modeling technique that is used to describe how the system or the business um, changes from one state to another in response to events or conditions. In response to events. So in simple terms, it just means a model can show something currently, what it's currently doing, what can happen to it, and what state it will move out to as a result. So this will speak to um, transitions and changes per time. Sometimes certain conditions or things, factors can result in a change of a business state. So we also factor this in your modeling technique. I'm trying to think of a very classical example. Uh, I can't remember one now, but um, the whole essence here is documenting or modeling a process that speaks to how a process can change from one state to another in response to events. What the last one here? We have use case descriptions, like we said here. It's details of interaction between a user and a system. So this just simply implies that it's a visual technique that is used by business analysts to show how different users or external system interact with the system to achieve a particular goal. I had a diagram before. I can't just find it. It would have been easier to explain. So here just speaks to how users and external factors or systems interact with the system to achieve a specific goal. What the use case description or use case diagram in this case would answer is who uses the system and what do they want to do with it. It's most times focuses on what the system should do from a user's perspective rather than explaining how the system would work or we do it technically. So it's more like putting the users at the forefront of the process. So we have requirements catalog here. This speaks to a list of
Sorry,
requirements.
Mr. Vincent, sorry, apologies
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
Somebody was drawing your attention. You are still on page 7. Are we still there or we have moved?
Oh, we've moved. Sorry, I was explaining this one. Oh, on page 8 now. I'm done with it actually.
Thank you, sir.
All right, all right. I think my network. Okay, so the last slide, well, not the last. This page, slide 10 speaks to the benefits of modeling. So we say here it helps to clarify the requirement visually. So like I said earlier, um, it is easier to communicate 1,000 words with just one picture. That is one of the essence of modeling, using diagrams, using pictorial illustrations or representations or flows to explain a process beyond just verbal or textual documentations. So it helps to clarify the requirement in a visual format. It also helps to reveal gaps and inconsistencies. Now, if you've used if you've done process mapping with BPMN, one of the advantage here, it helps to reveal gaps in your system, areas to improve, and areas that you might need to strike out. It also helps communication with stakeholders. Now, you can build your SOP with process models or data models or any model that we have described, or all of, not any, merging as many as two or three. Now, this would help stakeholders, the management, the users, auditors, analysts. It fosters easy communication, and it also aids validation and verification. So, if you're going through audits or any process that speaks to your operations, modeling can be a very good way of adding validity to your operations or your process. Now, choosing the right approach, developers might want model. I think as a developer, I do both. We always prefer to have a model. It is easier to build a solution when you have a detailed model of the business need. So developers will, but in my opinion, will, but might want some minutes. Business managers may prefer written stories or diagrams. Then the third one says consider using hybrid formats, both textual and visual. So number three simply speaks to it all. It is easy to the best approach, the right approach is combination of documentation and modeling requirements. So documentation, the text, modeling, the visual. With this, you can safe to say you would pass the message between the business needs and the stakeholders more effectively. The last one speaks to best practices um, for this. Regularly validate with stakeholders, keep documentation current and updated, use consistent naming and numbering, ensure accessibility for all parties. So I'm going to speak a little on others. I think this should be the end before we go into our questions. So best practices that are worth internalizing would be to, as in addition to this, write the right requirements, not solution. As a business analyst, you're supposed to write requirements, or you are to write requirements and not the solution. The solution would be done by the developers. So an example, the system shall verify identity before granting access. This is a requirement. You might not, or you should not, you do not say the system shall use OTP via SMS. They almost mean the same thing, but as a business analyst, you you go more with the requirement format. The system shall. I think there's the shall term. I didn't speak to that. When just a minute. Um, I think when writing um your requirements, there's what we call the shall technique. So it's a professional technique to use. The system shall allow users to create account. The system shall validate the user's email address. The system shall prevent users from, let's say, getting access without paid, or getting access to paid courses without proper or without valid enrollment. Now, the reason for this is it makes the requirements sound objective and testable. The use of the shall technique. So you avoid words, or you avoid excessive use. You can be once in on few occasions. Words like should, could, might, preferably, ideally, possibly. Um, these words, they sort of introduce ambiguity, as opposed to the precise nature of the requirement we might want to write out. So that's for that's for the shall technique. So back to the best practice. I said in adding to this, write requirements and not solution. Then another one would be, make every requirement testable. I think I spoke to this when I was when we looked at functional requirement. If you can't write a pass fail test for it, then it's not specific. So make every requirement something that can be tested, and also use models that answers the open question. You could draw a flow. If you How do I put it now? Draw a swim lane, or use case in diagrams. Then keep it traceable. Every requirement should trace back to the business objective. Um, there should be a portion that speaks to why that requirement exists. If you can't defend its existence, then you should question if it should exist at all. So keep your requirement traceable. It must trace back to the business objective. I think version and baseline. Okay, this still speaks to um validate with all stakeholders. All right. So common example with an e-commerce order system, a user story. As a customer, I want to track my order so that I know when it will arrive. So this is the user story we spoke about earlier. The squared braces, if you can see here, customer, track my order. That's the I think that's the account. No, user is the customer. I can't pick out what was there, but I think the last one was benefit, so I would know when it would arrive. Then this data model, customer, order, and product. This is a flow of the data. State model, order placed, confirmed, shipped, and delivered. Now, the condition for the order could have changed if the payment, or if the payment was not confirmed. Then process model speaks to the flow of browse, add to cart. I think this is a payment for an e-commerce system. Browse, add to cart, checkout, make payment, then confirmation. I hope we get this. Are we still following? My time is fast spent. Oh. Okay, that's the end. Any questions so far? If you can hear me. Any questions so far?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Vincent.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you. Of course.
All right. This is just to find out who is responsible for the user story as a stakeholder. Is it the using this case study of the e-commerce? Is it the customer that is responsible for the user story, or is it the project owners that will give or generate the user stories in trying to provide solutions or preempt more like or preempt a solution for the user in this case?
Okay. For this, the user is in this. This could be gotten from a feedback uh, from the user's end. But this is more of the business analyst thinking like the user or thinking for the user.
Okay. So what would you say as regarding F Q? What is the FQA? Frequent
No, um,
frequent question and
FAQ.
answer that
okay, FAQ.
you
Yeah,
yeah.
FAQ.
Ethic. So what would you say that is when there's a provision for that on an e-commerce platform? Still talking about this that is already there. Is that I don't know, just asking.
Okay. From my experience building platforms, a lot of times the FAQs are generated by the business analysts and the business, that's the business owner, um, identifying possible gaps that the users might want to ask. Now, on some occasions, not all the time, on some occasions, we populate that FAQ section from the user's end. But if you're building a new system, you would think like the user and identify possible areas for questions or concerns, then prefer solutions even before they ask them. So at that point, if it's a startup, if it's a new business, the business analyst and the business owner take responsibility for the user story. But as the business expands and evolve, the user also contributes through feedback. Is that clear?
Yes, very clear. Very clear. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
Did I have I answered? Are you okay with the answer?
You did very well. When you mentioned the last statement in the case where it's a new platform, I was going to ask that. What if it's a new platform? You said that the user story can be populated by the business owner or the business analyst when this, which is perfect for me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Do we have any other question?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I was just going to ask, do we have tools that could help us achieve all of this? And if there are, can you kindly suggest some?
Okay. We do have tools for process modeling. The business process model notation. There's a Bizagi software you could use to model your business processes. Maybe one of these days we could have a class where um, we show you guys how it will. It's actually very simple and very easy to understand. I would share a link with the organizer so you could still get the software and practice it on your own. And it's called Bizagi, Bizagi. It's for process model and notation, I think. Yep. That's the one I'm very much familiar with. There are some other tools, but I'm much more familiar with Bizagi.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Vincent. Please let's all appreciate Mr. Vincent for his time. Thank you so much for taking this time out to take the questions. Our time is fast spent, and now we'll be going into the